He was standing near railings with a bank of snow beyond them, which the rain had not dissolved. Some naked trees grew out of it. The trees and snow had such a fresh look that he climbed the railings and waded upward between the trunks. The lamps in the street behind showed a dim hillside laid out as a cemetery. Black gravestones stood on the snowy paleness, and he climbed between them, amazed that the ground of this place had once swallowed men in a natural way. He had reached a path with a bench on it, brushed snow from the seat with his sleeve, then knelt and banged his brow hard there 3 times, crying from the centre of his soul, "Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!" After a moment he stood up, dazed by the blows but indifferent to sodden clothes and aching body. He felt strangely buoyant. There was a yellow radiance among some obelisks on the hilltop, lighting the base of a few and silhouetting others. So he ran uphill. The slope below the summit was unusually steep, and Lanark kept rushing up and slithering back until he gained the momentum to reach the top and stumble between 2 monuments onto flat ground. The summit was a circular plot with a ring of obelisks round the edge and a cluster of them in the middle. They were old and tall, with memorials carved on the pedestals. He was puzzled by the light. It was a glow like the light from a steady fire. It lit nothing over 5 feet from the ground and cast no shadows, and Lanark walked round the central monuments without discovering a source. The glow was brightest on a pedestal near the place where he had entered the ring, so he examined it for a clue. It was a marble block erected by the workers and management of the Turk's Road Forge in gratitude to a doctor who had rendered them skilled and faithful service between 1833 and 1879. Lanark was reading the inscription for a second time when he noticed a dim shadow across the centre of the stone. He glanced over his shoulder to see what cast it and saw nothing, though when he glanced back it looked like the shadow of a bird with outspread wings. But the colour deepened, and he saw that the shape forming there was a mouth 3 feet wide, the lips meeting in a serene, level line. His heart beat now with an excitement which was certainly not fear. When the lips had fully formed, they parted and spoke. And just as a single intense ray can dazzle an eye without lighting a room, so this voice pierced the ear without sounding loud. It pierced so painfully that he could not understand the syllables as they were spoken, but he had to remember them when they stopped. The mouth had said, "I am the way out." Lanark said, "What do you mean?" The lips pressed together in a line which seemed ruled on the stone and moved swiftly to the ground, crossing the projection of the base as simply as the shadow of a gull passes over a waterfall. It sped over the snow, then stopped and opened into an oval pit in front of his feet. The edges of the lips were shaded lightly on the snow, but curved steeply down to the projecting tips of the perfect teeth. From the blackness between these rose a cold wind with the salty odour of rotting seaweed, then a hot one with an odour like roasting meat. Lanark shuddered with dread and giddiness. He remembered the mouth in Gay's hand, which had nothing behind it but a cold man being nasty to people in a dark room. He said, "Where will you take me?" The mouth closed and became dim at the corners. He saw it was fading, and would leave him on a hilltop in a city more sterile and lonely than anything a pit could hold. He shouted, "Stop! I'll come!" The mouth grew distinct again. He asked humbly, "How should I come?" It replied. When the sound stopped hurting his ears, he found it had said, "Naked and head first." It was hard to remove the coat and jacket, because his side had grown thorns, which pierced the cloth. He ripped them free and threw them down, then looked at the mouth which lay patiently open. He rubbed his face with the good hand and said, "I'm afraid to go head first. I'm going to lower myself backward and hang by the hands, and if I'm too scared to let go, I will consider it a kindness if you let me hang till I drop." He stared at the mouth, but no part of it moved. He sat on the rags of the coat and removed his shoes. Fear was making him slow. He grew terrified of its stopping him altogether, so he went to the mouth without undressing further. The hot breath, alternating with the cold one, had melted the surrounding snow into a margin of firm, moist gravel. Moving fast to avoid thinking, he sat with his legs in the mouth, gripped the teeth opposite, and slid down until he hung from them. Since the right arm was longer than the left, he hung by that alone, buffeted by hot roast and cold rot blasts, and waiting for the hand to weary and loosen. It didn't. His claws gripped a big incisor as if screwed to it, and when he tried to loosen them, the muscles of the whole limb began to contract and lift him toward the oval of dark sky between the teeth. In a moment, his head and shoulders would have come through them, but he yelled, "Shut! Bite shut!" Blackness closed over him with a clash, and he fell.